Good morning, Western Washington, and happy Thursday. I'm Matthew Fab with Western Washington Weather, and today we're going to take a look at the heat and smoke that's going to impact our area over the next couple days. And we're really only going to be looking at Thursday and Friday in this video, so we can take an in-depth look at the impacts of the smoke and the heat. So starting here at the UW satellite, and you can see all that smoke over Oregon moving into Washington, and then you can see some fog in some of the river valleys this morning that should burn off very quickly with the heat. So let's take a look at our overall pattern. You can see that ridge to our north is causing this heat wave, and that's going to be strongest today, and then start to move off to the east through Friday, but still will be impacting the region's weather pattern. And then as we go through the weekend, that ridge really moves off to the east. We'll take a look at that in the next couple days. So taking a look at temperatures today, highs from Seattle northward will be in the low to mid 80s. West of I-5, maybe some areas near the water remaining in the upper 70s. East of I-5 likely in the mid 80s to low 90s. And then the same thing from Seattle southward, highs in the upper 80s to low 90s for the entire area, with some areas in the foothills and from Olympia and Shelton southward and in parts of Grays Harbor County and Mason County that are reaching the mid 90s. And then you can see on the coast at the ocean beaches, highs in the upper 70s to mid 80s on the beaches and in the low 90s inland. As we go through Friday, you can see a similar story here, highs in the upper 70s to low 80s from I-5 westward here north of Seattle. So a little bit of cooling there for some areas like Mount Vernon. But then you can see from I-5 eastward north of Seattle, highs again in the mid 80s to low 90s. And then from Seattle southward, largely the same thing happens on Friday as happened on Thursday, with highs in the upper 80s to low 90s, hottest near the foothills and near Shelton and Olympia southward. And then on the coast, you can see there is some relief there on Friday, with marine air moving back in, highs dropping to the low 70s at the beaches and the low 80s inland. Taking a look at southwest Washington and the Portland metro area, highs in Chehalis and southward to Kelso today in the mid 90s. From Kelso southward into the Portland metro, highs likely in the upper 90s to low 100s, as high as 103 degrees possibly, although the smoke could have something to do with this and could bring temperatures down a couple degrees to stay in the upper 90s. We'll see if that does occur. And then tomorrow, over this same area here, southwest Washington and Portland, you can see highs in the mid 90s down the I-5 corridor and in the upper 90s to low 100s again around Vancouver and Portland, although smoke will likely drop these temperatures a couple of degrees as well. And then taking a look real quick here at low temperatures across the region, you can see Friday morning lows will likely be in the upper 50s to mid 60s across the entirety of western Washington and western Oregon. And you can see there around Vancouver and Kelso, Washington, lows only reaching the mid 60s, so that'll remain pretty warm. And then you can see the same thing around the Seattle metro area. And then as we go, Saturday morning lows similar in the mid 60s for the Seattle metro area and for parts of southwest Washington. And the other areas of western Washington do start to cool a little bit more on Saturday morning as that marine flow starts to return. Now let's take a look at smoke aloft. You can see, so this is smoke here that does not impact air quality, but does impact how hazy the skies are. And you can see there's a lot of that over Oregon this morning that we saw in the satellite image at the beginning of the video. As we go through today and go into this evening, you can see smoke coming off the Williams Mine fire and the other fires here in Oregon, and that smoke starts to move northward into western Oregon and western Washington. It'll be a pretty red sunset tonight, most likely, and then as we go through Thursday night, into Friday morning here, this is around sunrise Friday, and you can see that's just heavy smoke aloft across the entirety of western Washington and western Oregon and most of eastern Washington. And then that just continues and gets heavier through Friday, into Friday night, and then into early Saturday morning. You can see that is some really heavy smoke aloft, the heaviest we've seen this year so far over parts of western Washington, all of western Oregon as we go into early Saturday. So stay tuned for more on that. Now taking a look at that surface smoke that does impact air quality, you can see that is present over parts of southwest Washington and Oregon and parts of eastern Washington this morning. As we go through today, that smoke starts to move northward into western Washington. I want to point out the Williams Mine fire near Mount Adams and this fire, I believe it's called the Huckleberry fire that we have in the Willapa Hills, that could locally enhance some of that smoke. And you can see here, mainly from Olympia southward, but also in the Olympics, Kitsap Peninsula, and the Cascades, you'll be starting to smell that smoke this evening, and air quality will likely be in the moderate to unhealthy for sensitive groups categories. As we go through Thursday night into Friday morning, that surface smoke starts to impact the entirety of western Washington. By Friday evening, you can see light to moderate surface smoke across all of western Washington except the ocean beaches, and this will likely degrade air quality for most areas except parts of Whatcom, San Juan, and Island counties. You can see the Seattle metro area does have surface smoke tomorrow evening, and that will start to erode a little bit overnight into Saturday morning as that marine air moves in, but expect more surface smoke as there is a lot in the area. Let's take a look here real quick at the purple air quality map here, and you can see it's starting to degrade across northern Oregon and parts of eastern Washington down into the moderate to unhealthy for sensitive groups categories, and still looking pretty good across the Seattle metro area, but that will likely change over the next 24 hours. And just a reminder what those air quality categories mean. Green is good, values 0 to 50. Yellow is moderate, values 51 to 100, and you won't likely notice too much with this besides the smell, but it could be risky to some people who are very sensitive to air pollution there. And then orange, which is likely as high as we'll get in western Washington, although that does remain to be seen, is unhealthy for sensitive groups, values 101 to 150, and sensitive groups does include anyone under the age of 18 and anyone over the age of 65, so keep that in mind, everybody, and try to stay inside when it's smoky. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and share these videos. There's a lot to talk about over the next couple days with the heat and the present smoke, so stay tuned, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.